Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gaming Lounge podcast, episode 47. Once again, I'm your host, Sebastian, and I'm joined by Dory. How's everything going, Dory?
You know what, Seb? I will tell you how I'm doing on the same day that Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out. No, I'm just kidding. I'm doing great. Yeah, it's been a wild week of news, and we're going to talk a lot about Nintendo Switch 2, obviously. We have a couple quick things to get through first, including talking about Atomfall, which we were going to last week, but had issues come up, so we couldn't record. And we also have the games for April coming out, too. So we'll be talking about that. Lots of stuff to get into the Nintendo Switch too, so we'll mostly be talking about that this episode.
Yeah, so let's start with Atomfall. That I've played. I put about 9 hours into, and Dory beat. So I'll let Dory handle the impressions first, and I'll give my opinions after. So Dory, how did you find Atomfall?
Very 7 out of 10 experience for me. There was a lot of stuff I liked, but there was a lot of stuff that I found frustrating. I'll start with the good stuff, and then I'll get into more of the negative mixed stuff. I want to say, first off, this is a supposedly post-apocalyptic game, but this is not like Fallout in the sense of environment, right? Because it is lush. It is green. You are in northern England. There are trees everywhere. There's greenery everywhere. It's beautiful. It looked great on my PC. That was always my favorite part of the game. Not that everything else was bad, but just that was, like far and away, my favorite thing was just like looking at the scenery, looking at the environment. And you aren't usually able to say that about post-apocalyptic games, obviously because of the setting that you're in Fallout. You know, you're in the wasteland or the desert, but in this one, you're not. You're in northern England, and for some reason, just a lot of the greenery hasn't been really affected by the nuclear fallout. So I don't really know if they give a narrative reason for that. I didn't see any, but it made for a refreshing, different take on a post-apocalyptic setting, which I appreciated. I did find that the writing was pretty serviceable generally. Very English, very British. It's a lot of people with heavy accents, but I found everything pretty intelligible and understandable. There's, some phrases here and there that I either didn't understand or had to look up or whatever, but for the most part, it's pretty understandable. It's got the retro futuristic thing going on where you have these big kind of Doctor Who-ish robots or mechs or whatever mixed with very classic 50s, 60s architecture and sensibilities and stuff like that. So that was kind of the vibe, kind of a retro futuristic, but set in the 50s, late 50s, early 60s in northern England. I will talk about the gunplay. It was mostly good. I really liked the different guns you get. You get a shotgun, you get a rifle, you get a pistol, a magnum. There's a few different kinds of pistols, actually. And one of the things I really like about this game is you can not that this is revolutionary or whatever, but you can upgrade all of your stuff. So if you have enough, for example, rusty pistols, you can upgrade your rusty pistols to a stock pistol. And that's kind of like middle of the aisle or whatever you want to say. Kind of a standard pistol. And then if you have 2 of those, you can get it to pristine. And by the end of the game, I was able to get a couple of weapons to pristine, which was really exciting for me. And I really liked that process. It's nothing super complicated. And again, it's not reinventing the wheel, but it always felt rewarding. And I always felt like it wasn't that hard to get it, but it also felt when I did get it, I could see the difference in terms of gameplay and the enemies dying faster. To that end, I really like the survival mechanics overall. I'm not a big survival person when it comes to game genres. Not usually my thing, but I didn't mind it here. It felt survival light, and it's also worth noting that you can customize the difficulty. So you can customize how much you want survival mechanics to be involved in the game, how much you want the enemies to be tough or easy. and how much you want the leads system, which I'll talk about later, to be obvious or not so obvious. For the record, I took the recommended difficulty, which was challenging, I believe it's called. It's the second hardest difficulty, or at least it's the second most to the right. I don't know if that's actually the second most challenging. It all just depends on like what your preferences are. But this game is very customizable. I really like that. You can always change the difficulty later on. I never did, but you can always do that if you're struggling with the gameplay or struggling with the lead system. The skill tree was kind of limited. I'm not gonna lie, but I felt like every time I upgraded something, I could definitely see the impact it had again on gameplay, and I generally liked whatever upgrade I did. By the end of the game, I was running out of upgrades that I had any kind of investment in. I did kind of a stealthy dexterity. I mean, you know me, I love doing rogue approaches, right? I'm usually a rogue if I can be. So basically, I was like an archer / rogue here, where I had a bow and arrow. I was looking for a bow and arrow for at least the first few hours of the game, and you get them off the druids, and that was really fun. Getting headshots with a bow and arrow was really fun. I really enjoyed that. Again, going back to the gunplay, feeling good, even though it's a bow, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's no denying the skill tree was pretty limited. It's not going to blow you away, but I mean, I did appreciate that it was concise, it was clear, everything felt appropriate for the game. I never felt like I was super overpowered, even towards the end of the game when I arguably was at my most powerful. I had done a couple of challenges to speed up the process and do more of the game and more of the end game. So it actually came back full circle where I didn't have a lot of ammo on me. And so I felt that crunch of like, okay, I've got some really good weapons and they're in really good condition, either stock or pristine, but I don't have a ton of ammo to play with. So I had to rely on melee combat. Now this is where I get into some of the negatives, right? I'm sure Seb noticed this too. Melee combat's not super great. It's not terrible, but unlike Silent Hill 2, where I didn't mind the clunkiness, here it doesn't narratively feel earned. It just feels mechanically clunky. I don't really like it. Even later in the game, when you get better weapons, like a knife or something, it just feels odd. The collision and the way that you're swinging around weapons just didn't click with me. It wasn't terrible and it was doable, but if I could, I always used a gun, which always felt better. I also did not like the endings. One of them is straight up trash in terms of like it. There's a lot of questions that this game raises and mysteries, and it answers a lot of them. But there's a couple that it really doesn't answer by the end of the game. And if you get one of the endings, you'll know what I mean. I don't want to do any spoilers, but there's some mysteries in the game that it does not even remotely try to solve, and it's all like, ooh, it's mysterious. And it's like that does nothing for me. I want answers. I put 10 hours into your game. I'd appreciate you to give me a hint or a clue or something. But they just kind of like, ooh, it's mysterious, so it's good. I didn't like that. Didn't care for it. I picked a different ending instead, which I liked a lot more, and I actually think is the best ending you can probably get. Still kind of a bittersweet ending, but I mean, it's a post-apocalyptic game. I don't really know what you're expecting. There's no straightforward happy ending here, unless you're like a lunatic. There's a couple of happy endings for you in that case. I've looked at all the endings, and I personally would only pick one of them. I don't find any of them compelling except one, morally speaking. Narratively speaking, I think a couple of them are fun. If you want to go evil, it's there for you. There's a couple of different ways you can go evil. There was also a great IGN video that, yes, you can kill every single NPC in this game and you can still beat it. So that's pretty fun. I love that the game's that flexible. I did think the beginning was a bit rough. Limited resources, limited guns and stuff. It made for some repetitive gameplay, and you feel really underpowered, which is obviously the point. But yeah, it was a little frustrating, and I did almost think about giving up a couple hours in, but I pushed through, and I ended up liking the game. The last thing I'll say is that I knew I was going to be mixed on this. I think anybody who's watched the podcast for a while knew I was going to be mixed on this. I like the lead system as an idea, and this is partially on me. I could have turned the lead system off or towards a more assisted setting. But I wanted to experience the game as they recommended it. I wanted to see if I could, obviously I could, but I wanted to see if I could handle like having a more hands-off Dragon's Dogma 2-esque system. I'm not saying they're the same thing, but it reminded me of Dragon's Dogma 2 in that way. I didn't play that for that very reason, but yeah, this has more customizable kind of difficulties. But yeah, lead system is great. I did like it. I always felt like there was something around the corner that I could discover. Something that links me back to the main plot, or links me to a character, or links me to a cool sub story. There was a lot of cool side stories in this game. There's a couple of mysteries, a couple of fetch quests, a couple of this and that. I liked all of them. I didn't think any of them were amazing, but just like the game, I thought they were solid, or at least pretty decent at worst. But that's not going to take away from the fact that there were definitely periods of time where I was fucking lost. I had no idea what the hell I was supposed to do. The game gave me no hints at all, or very few hints. There was a couple times too where well, a good example. And this isn't a spoiler. It's been in trailers and stuff. But in the one of the opening towns that you find, there's this commander that you're supposed to talk to kind of meet up with the military faction. I couldn't find him for the longest fucking time, and nobody was telling me where he was. And I visited basically every location, and it turned out when I went to the town hall, I guess for some reason he wasn't there yet, or I don't know. But I came back to the town hall because I'm like, I feel like this is where he should be. I even saw a desk that was empty, so I came back and there he was. But stuff like that, right, makes for frustrating gameplay. Again, partially on me. You can absolutely change the difficulty of the lead system anytime. So I'm not like mad at Rebellion or whatever. But yeah, it was a mixed bag for me in the lead system. But when it worked, I mean, it was great. It felt really organic, felt very natural. But on the other hand, I don't mind gamifying that stuff. I know people complain about it. For me, as somebody who gets easily lost, I don't mind it being gamified. It's in my top 10 just by default because I've only played 2025 games, but that's not going to last. I doubt. I think it'll be maybe in my special mentions. But yeah, for me, this was a 7 out of 10, 3.5 out of 5 kind of experience. It's good. It did not feel essential. I never felt like, oh, this game's a must play. Even if you really like Fallout, I have good news for you. Modders just came out with a British Fallout that's actually pretty good from what I hear. Not amazing, but pretty good. So you could just go play that, and it's in London. I don't know. It didn't feel essential at all to me. It did feel very derivative of Fallout. Seb and I talked about that in a couple places. Some places just feel kind of a ripoff of Fallout in what it does, which is kind of to be expected. And it doesn't bother me a ton, but it's noticeable. So yeah, overall 7 out of 10 game. It's good. Get it on Game Pass. Don't buy it for $40, whatever it's supposed to be right now. I wouldn't recommend it for that price tag. But yeah, wait for it to be on sale or get it on Game Pass is my recommendation. It's a good game, but it's not a great game, and it's certainly nothing more than that. So yeah, those were my thoughts. How did you find it, Seb?
I haven't beat it yet, but so far I would say it's about a 7 out of 10. And I think that's pretty accurate of the game. And the reviews are about in the 7s and the Metacritic, I think, so that in the 70s. So I think that lines up with most people's thoughts on the game. I don't love this game. For starters, because the combat I don't like. I think it's very clunky. I think Fallout. I feel like it's just a double A version of Fallout. Like I feel like it's almost. I don't want to say it's a ripoff of Fallout because I wouldn't say it's a ripoff, but it's definitely a Fallout in London. It just feels way similar to me as a big Fallout fan, where it's like they have ghouls in the buildings. They have robots that serve people. The wasteland, the Mad Max vibe. The first person combat. So it's not a ripoff of Fallout, but it's very similar. And if you like Fallout, you'll probably like this game, but I just don't think it's on the same level as Fallout 3 or New Vegas or even 4. With that said, it's still a pretty good game. I think the storyline is okay. I don't think it's anything amazing. It's fine. At first, when I first started playing this game, as Dory mentioned in the beginning, I didn't like this game. I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this game at all. In the beginning, your resources are very limited. You have very limited weapons. It's kind of difficult in the beginning. It's easy to get lost.
Yeah.
Because you're used to the waypoint system in games, and this game doesn't
Yep.
have that at first. You have to like unlock journals and read like a newspaper or read like a document or something to unlock a waypoint for you. It would you have to like investigate and build a journal. I didn't like that in the beginning, but as I went along, it started getting better, and now it's pretty easy to navigate, I think. But I still prefer like a Fallout system where you just have a waypoint in the map, and you just go to it. You can have like fast travel and things like that. I didn't personally care for the lead system. It's just not my kind of system. But I think some people are gonna like it if you're into that. It was fine. I'm not upset with it. Factions were kind of cool. No issues. That was kind of cool. The different types of gangs and stuff that you encounter, they were interesting. I like the druids and I forgot the name of the other guys, but they were all wearing like face paint. And do you remember what they're called?
The druid. I remember the druids, and I remember the military faction, and I remember
Isn't people that wear like top hats and stuff? Or am I misremembering?
top hats.
Or like they're wearing like weird get up. They have a weird get up in comparison to everybody else. They're wearing like jackets
Oh,
and
maybe I missed that. Honestly, it's possible. There's some stuff that I missed.
no,
So it's
you probably know. You probably have seen it. They're like in the beginning
okay.
area. But either way,
Oh, okay.
the factions are pretty cool, and it feels like the storyline's not going to be amazing. I just doesn't. I'm not engaged with it. I'm not expecting to be mind blown at the end. It's just it just feels like a game that's kind of there. Because it's not like bad, but it's not great. It's just kind of. I mean, it's a 7 out of 10, but it feels like a game I'm just kind of getting through the motions. I'm just getting out of my way so I can move on to another game. Like I know I don't. I feel I say that what like it feels like it's rude to the developers, but it just feels like a game I kind of just want to get over with. It just doesn't. It just hasn't clicked in me. I'm rating it a 7, but like, and my enjoyment is probably less than that, just because it just feels like a game in my way that I'm just beating just for the sake of conversation. But it's fine. It's a good game. I think you'll like it if you like that kind of game. But for me, it just hasn't clicked. Honestly, it's in my top 10 only by default because it's only April, but it will definitely fall out of my top 10. I guess I sound like I hate it. I don't hate the game at all. I just feel like it's a game. Just I'm just not in love with it. And the good thing is it's not long, and you can beat it like Dory. You beat it pretty quickly, right? Like 11
I
hours.
beat it. Yeah, I towards the end of it, I forgot to mention this, but I started getting a little tired of the game, honestly, and I was like, well, the end's in sight. I'm just gonna like
Power through
see
it.
whatever endings were available to me at about 9 hours in, and yeah, it took me about another hour and a half, and I beat it. Yeah, I beat it in under 11 hours. I think that's below average. I wasn't speedrunning the game by any means, but I also was definitely rushing a little bit towards the end. I'm not sure the exact average, but yeah, Seb
Yeah.
says he's already 9 hours. Uh, okay, actually, I was a little bit above the. How long to beat says 9 hours on average for main story, but I did main story in sides, and that's 14 and a half. So I was 3 hours under that. So yeah, definitely a quicker main plus sides venture. I guess I would say. But yeah, I had a good time with it. But by the end, there was only maybe a handful of quests left, and none of them are really doing it for me in terms of like, okay, I really care about this, and I was pretty much done. You know, I will also tell anybody like, don't worry about the atomic batteries. You might think, oh, I don't have enough. You are going to have enough by the end. Like Seb and I both have excess. I can tell Seb right now that he has excess because I had like I think in my inventory tube system, which I do like the tube system. I wish it was near vendors and stuff
Yeah.
because sometimes it can be a little frustrating because the way vending selling works in this game is it's like for like kind of. It's weighted against traders' preferences and stuff like that. Certain things they like, certain things they don't care about. And sometimes the tubes aren't anywhere near them, and you're like, oh, I left my spare atomic battery in the tube, and now I have to go all the way back over because there's no fast travel, by the way. There is kind of shortcuts that you can take to get to each zone, but yeah, it's a little annoying. I was never exacerbated by it or aggravated by it, I should say.
Yeah, like I said, I sound like I hate the game. I think it's a good game. I just think it's kind of forgettable, and it's a game I'm not going to think about in the future. Like it's just kind of a game I beat and I move on. It's just nothing about it wows me. I think the only thing that I would say is really impressive about the game is the visuals. Like playing on a
Yes.
4080 on ultra settings, it looks very pretty. It's a beautiful looking game. But the combat and the storyline and the characters are fine. But this combat and the storyline are just not clicking, and I'm just not invested in the mystery, the overall story of the game. Like one of the best parts of New Vegas, right? Is you're investigating the
Yes.
guy who killed you, and Fallout 4, you're investigating finding your son, who's and the whole twist with that. Fallout 3 is about getting clean water and things like that. So I'm more invested in those stories, but in this game, I just don't really care. Maybe in
Uh,
the ending I'll care, but like going by what Dory's saying, it sounds like the endings are not that great. So
no,
it just
they're
feels like
really not.
so I it just feels like a forgettable game, like a forgettable 7 out of 10. It just not clicking with me. I played 7 out of 10 games where like I loved them and I think they were better than the reviews were saying, but in this case, I feel like it lines up very well and just not a great game.
Yeah.
So all right, I think that's everything. We should move on now.
Yep.
To our April games. So this topic is going to be quite short because we've talked about these games so many times now at this point in full detail. But as we do every month, beginning of the month, we hit on what we're going to play or possibly buy in the month. This month, I'm definitely buying every game on my list because I already have. And these were games I've been waiting for quite a while now. We've talked about it a lot on the podcast. Starting with The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. As I saw in the reveal, I was like, yeah, I'm day one on this, assuming that the PC version runs very well. And then going by Steam, the reviews are very positive. So it doesn't seem like it's a mess like the first game was originally when it came to PC. So I'm sure Sony and the people developing on the PC have learned from that how to make a quality PC game, and it seems like people are happy with it. I don't see a lot of negative reviews for it. And The Last of Us Part 2 obviously is one of the greatest games ever made, despite what people say. I know people. I respect people's opinion on the story. I have some issues with the story and the pacing, as I talked about many times, but I still think it's one of the greatest games ever made. It was my game of the year in 2020. Dory also loves it. It was her game of the year. I mean, when we had our old podcast, everybody on our panel said it was our game of the year. So we've talked about it so many times. I'm looking forward to playing it again. I beat Last of Us Part 1 again on PC, and I really loved it. Looked great on ultra wide, ultra settings. So I'm looking forward to this game being pretty, the gameplay being fire. I'm excited to play it just in time for the show, which is right around the corner. And I'm gonna enjoy comparing the game to the show. It'll be fresh in my mind. So I am definitely excited to replay The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. And Dory, you said you didn't have any interest in this, so we can.
No.
All right, so we can move on from that. It's $40 by the way. Oh, $50 by the way. So it's not a $70 game, and you can buy the CD key on websites for like 44. So that's not too bad. All right, South of Midnight. Also, I have as well. I bought it the premium edition, so I can actually play it right now. I can play it early. I'm gonna play it this weekend. South of Midnight. It's gotten like a 76 on Metacritic, I believe.
Yeah.
I think Dory and I both expect it to be a 7 out of 10 kind of game. So nothing
Yes.
out of no surprises. I think Compulsion Games still has not proven to be a phenomenal developer. I mean, Contrast was pretty good, and We Happy Few was disappointment. And so I didn't expect this game to be like a phenomenal game, but it has everything I like about it. I like about games. It has like a cool setting, cool characters, narrative, strong narrative. Gameplay doesn't have to be amazing if the world is awesome and I'm invested in what's going on. I can live with
Yeah.
clunky
I
gameplay.
think the key here from all the reviews I saw, the
Yeah.
key here is going to be the narrative, the music, the characters, the voice acting, the writing, the gameplay from pretty much everybody across the board. It says it's serviceable, it's fine. There are even moments where it's good, but what you're really here for is the Southern backdrop, the characters, their trauma, the story. You're not really here for the gameplay. And
Yeah.
so I could see myself rating it a little higher than Atomfall, honestly, but we will see.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I already have it pre-downloaded. For me, it says it will be available on 4/8, so I will wait till then.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to play it.
Yeah, that's Tuesday of next week. Yeah, I got the premium edition, so I can play it early now. And
Gotcha.
I'm playing it maybe tomorrow, I would say. Tonight I want to play Last of Us. And I'm looking forward to it. We've talked about it a lot, and it really interests both of us. And it could be my top 10 game, but it'd probably be on the bottom of the list. Or if not, it'd probably be honorable mention kind of game. Something what comes out this year. But I'm looking forward to it. All right, Lost Records Tape 2. Obviously, Dory and I are both really into Lost Records. We talked about
Yes.
Tape 1 in full detail. And I bought it on Steam when it first came out. So obviously, I don't have to rebuy this because I have both parts. And it comes out in the middle of the month. Actually, I didn't write down the dates now that I think about it. Lost Records Tape 2 is coming out on April 15th. So I was right in the middle of the month. And obviously, I'm looking forward to figuring out what the mystery is because there's a lot of questions they left open in part 1. It ended on a crazy ending, kind of like pretty much out of nowhere, really. Dory, how excited are you for Tape 2?
I'm pretty excited. I said before in my impressions that this was Vibes the game. I'm really excited to go back to this world. I once again, along with Seb, wish that they had just made one fucking game, but I guess not. So yeah, we're gonna get the second part. I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to it. I like these characters a lot. I like the choices aren't huge, but I felt like overall I had a really good time with the story, and I'm really invested in what's gonna happen to these characters. Now it could be a letdown, could be a dumb twist. I don't know. We're gonna find out. I'm excited to see. Seb and I both share the game, so we're both eagerly awaiting this one.
Yes. And then finally, what needs to be said? I mean, we've talked about this game so many times. It's Dory's New Hades.
That's right.
Clear Obscure Expedition 33 comes out at the end of the month. It should be a banger. Everything about it looks quality. We've talked about it so many times with how well the gameplay looks, how well the graphics look, the characters, the story is interesting. The world looks amazing. Everything about it looks like a AAA phenomenal game. There's very few, if any, AAA Western turn-based RPGs. Like most turn-based RPGs are like anime styled, or like JRPGs. So this game is very unique. The world is very interesting. I'm very interested in the storyline and why things are happening. Like it's a cool idea. The storyline sounds unique, so I'm hyped for it. I already bought it. It's on sale right now on Steam if you're interested, or you can just play it on Game Pass. So you have multiple options, and it's also on PlayStation as well. Totally recommend this game. Even before like the reviews come out, I'm pretty confident it should be like in the 80s at least, or even the 90s. But I'm gonna assume it's gonna be in the 80s. Dory, how hyped are you for Clear Obscure Expedition 33?
I am hyped. I have said everything I can about this game. I am very excited. Yeah, this game looks incredible. We've talked about it a lot. I don't want to bore our audience. We should probably just talk about the Switch too. But yes, it'll probably be my goatee, yada, yada, yada. It looks phenomenal.
Okay,
I'm very excited.
I didn't want to end it without you saying anything. So
yeah. I really wanted to do an understated line there, but yeah, I'm really excited. This is one of my most anticipated games of the year, and I think it'll be for sure in my top 5, maybe even my number 1. But we'll see. I'm very excited.
Yeah. Now, Days Gone Remastered does come out this month. I will play that this year at some point. But it's gonna be later on. And the PC version is like $10 to get all the extra features and stuff. So I'll check that out. But other than that, there's nothing else this month that really interests me. So those are all the games I wanted to mention. So we can jump right into the Switch 2 now. All
Sounds
right.
good.
So that's the big news of the week. The Switch 2, obviously, has been big conversation. The whole industry's watching for multiple reasons, not even for the people that have no interest in this, because it affects the entire industry. The tariffs. So we're gonna get not super political, but there's no way you cannot talk about politics right now with this. So we won't go in like full detail with all that, but we'll hit on it a little bit. But before we get into that part, though, we'll talk about the actual showcase that we got. It was about an hour long. It happened at like 9 in the morning, so I wasn't able to watch it live. Well, kind of. I watched it in class a little bit when we had downtime, but for the most part, it was something I had to watch when I had planning. And then I saw the prices of the console and the prices of the games, and that was a whole conversation. But we'll get in that later. So let's start with the beginning, right? The showcase. So we had Mario Kart World. Now Mario Kart obviously is Nintendo's most bought game. Like it sold like what 50 million copies the last Mario Kart. It's huge
Huge.
franchise. And obviously that's a great game to start with. We all knew it was coming. It was in the last showcase. So we knew there was a Mario Kart coming. Um it's a launch title, of course. It's exclusive to the Switch 2, so it's not on the Switch, it's not coming to Switch 1. It is open world, and you can drive virtually everywhere and with your friends. So this game is like Forza Horizons, where you can just drive anywhere. So this is all really brand new for the series. It's always been very, arcadey, one track, you go straight, all that stuff. But in this one, you get to drive an open world land an area, and you get to grind on walls and grind on rails and do all these crazy tricks. It was really cool.
Tony Hawk, eat your fucking heart out, dude. You're getting showed up by goddamn Mario and Luigi.
Yeah. And now this one has 24 drivers in a race, which is really packed. That's gonna be chaotic, but that sounds really fun. This is the most ever in a Mario Kart game. And you can play as Moo Cow, who is now a playable racer. A lot of people were hyped for that. People were cheering. I was watching the live react from New York in the Nintendo, the place with the New York shop or whatever, the store.
Yeah.
And people were cheering for the cow. Like
my favorite Twitter comment about that is that the cow has a septum ring, horns, and an udder. That cow's definitely trans. So good for them. Full support.
And then we're getting a showcase for Mario Kart World specifically on April 17th at 9 a.m. So there's a direct just for the Mario Kart World to get into full detail. And it comes with the Switch 2 as a bundle for $500. So as people were flipping out about, its game is $80. So that was a big conversation.
Ugh.
$80 digital. And obviously, if you buy the bundle with the Switch 2, you save $30. So obviously, your best bet is to get the Switch 2 bundle with the Mario Kart, which is what I'm going to do. And overall, I thought this game looked great. I'm excited for it. Obviously, this is the must-play game on the Switch 2 because it's like the only launch game, pretty much. Big launch game. It's a Mario game. And this is a must buy, but the price is we'll get into the price later on. But let's talk about the game itself. What interested you about it, or did anything interest you about it?
Yeah, so I'm not a big racing fan, generally speaking. I mean, unless they came out with like Burnout remakes or something. I generally speaking, I mean, I even tried Crash Team Racing and I couldn't get into it. So I'm not really a racing person. I did grow up playing Mario Kart. I played it with family and friends and stuff. I enjoy it, but I don't enjoy it so much that I would go out of my way to pay for it. I certainly don't enjoy it enough to pay $80 or even 50. But like I said, like Seb said, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I liked a lot of what I saw, though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it looks great. It looks like a great game. The graphics look awesome. The free roam looks really impressive. The modes look mody. They look good. They look like what they should. I like all the different characters. I like the settings. I mean, it looks beautiful. I know I already said that, but I really want to emphasize that. It looked gorgeous. I love all the various things that you can do. You can paraglide, you can wall ride, you can go into a dinosaur, you can go on top of a dinosaur. It is really cool. So I liked a lot of it, and there's some cool costumes. I really like the costumes that different characters had. Peach had some bangers. And I saw King Babam had this like mafiosa kind of coat, or like maybe a king kind of coat. It looked awesome on him, so I love that. I love that goofy shit.
Yeah.
Again, Mario Kart is a franchise I respect and well aware of. Would play it if I was at a friend's house. It's not one I'd go out of my way to play. So it didn't move me terribly,
Yeah.
but I was like, good. Like this makes sense. It's not for me, but it's for so many other people, obviously.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really don't know what else you could have done after Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or whatever it was. Was it 8 Deluxe? I think it was 8 Deluxe. There wasn't much you could have done besides make it open world. So it looks good. And I hope the fans of Mario Kart are happy. Seems like a lot of people are happy, with some exceptions. That was my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Mario Kart fan in the sense that like I go home and play this for like 5 hours by myself with online and spend 100 hours on this game. This is obviously a game I bring to a friend's house, to a family's house, or I play with my students or something like that. So uh, I need more than Mario Kart to get me hyped for a system, of course, but we'll get into that. All right, so that's Mario Kart World. Looks like a great game. It should sell like phenomenally, but the pricing kind of soured it. But we'll talk about that. All right, game chat. So this is the second thing they showed. I'm going in order of the whole show. So next they showed game chat. This is a mic built into the system, so you just talk into the mic. It's built into the actual system itself. There's a game screen sharing. There's a C button on the Joy-Con too. That's considered the chat button, and it pulls up the chat and settings and all that. And you can chat while playing different games. So if you have a if you have the camera, Nintendo Switch camera, you can have your face on screen playing a game, look like a green screen in the back, and showing the game that you're currently playing with all your friends. It shows what all your friends are playing at the same time, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, I thought it looked not great. I thought the green screen looked off, and the lag on the screen didn't look amazing.
Frame rate.
The frame rate.
That was like when they were screen sharing. Which, by the way, those people better be the best of friends after that, or that commercial was a failure. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it was like going at 15 frame per second or something. I felt I just was like, wow, this is not a way to sell me on this. But yeah, we have Discord at home. Basically, I thought it looked interesting. It was a very Nintendo thing to do. It didn't move me, but it didn't detract me either. I was like, yeah, this sounds like something Nintendo would do.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are going to misuse and abuse this however they can. I'm not moved terribly one way or the other on it.
Yeah, well, my problem with this was that it went on too long in the showcase. It kind of ruined the momentum. Mario Kart started off with a banger, and then it was like 7 minutes of this, and it was just... First of all, the camera, I think it looks cheap. It's $50. So if I'm buying a Switch 2 for $450, which is going to be like $470 for me because I have a sales tax in Florida. I'm going to pay another $50. I'm going to pay... We'll say I'm going to get the bundle, so that's $500. So it's going to be like $520. Then I'm going to pay $50 for a camera and $90 for a Switch Pro controller. I don't know about that. I can just use Discord on my phone or my computer. I use Discord all the time. This doesn't sell me on not using Discord. I would just use my phone and go on Discord. And you put my AirPods in or whatever. So I was not interested in this at all. I mean, obviously, I'm not. This is not for me anyway. I don't play. I don't know anyone that's would get on a chat with me on a Switch and talk like that on camera. I always find that in showcases to be kind of cringe, to be honest with you, when people pretend to be like best friends and they say gamer terms on the camera. You know what I'm talking about when they show off multiplayer and people are always like showing off like their gaming lingo. And it's always cringy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
They didn't look authentic when they were playing. It was just a random actor smiling at the camera. It just didn't
Yeah,
appeal to
there were
me.
some funny green screen moments, especially one of the guys who was playing Jamboree later on. He
Yeah.
made the funniest fucking reactions. I swear to God, he was like acting for it, and I was like, "That's awesome." But yeah, I hope somebody saw those and made it a meme. But yeah, it went on. I agree. It probably went on for too long. I was exercising during it, so I didn't mind.
Yeah.
But I wasn't watching it live or anything like that. I was watching it back. I actually heard they had some issues live, or at least I saw
Mm.
one person who was responding to the stream live.
I heard that
At one
too.
point, they kind of got like a hit stir or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah. Now you do need a Switch online membership to use the game chat. So you do have to be subscribed to Nintendo Online.
yeah, that was another part. I was like, damn, this is really not doing it for me.
But for about a year, you can use the camera and all that for free until March 31st, 2026. So there is an open access period where everybody can try out game chat for a year, and then if they and keep it if they have a subscription. But uh, this is just Nintendo doing their own thing, as they
Yeah,
always do. Like they're always feels like they're 7 years behind everybody else in terms of features, and they make it like they invented it. But I think most people are going to stick with Discord, and the camera just did not appeal to me. Like $50 for that, I don't know. Even if I wanted the camera, I don't have the room for it. My TV stand is not big enough to have a camera, so I would have to play on my desk. So I have to figure that out. But yeah, it just did nothing for me. All right, so let's move on to game sharing. So you can play together on multiple systems using just one game. So that was cool, I thought. So
yeah,
if you have the same one game, you can play multiplayer on two different switches. So that was really cool. But it only works with compatible games, and it only works for select exclusive games for Switch 2. Which sounds bad, but for me, it's probably not an issue because I only play exclusives on Switch anyway. So I don't play third party and indie games. I play those on Steam and PC and Steam Deck and all that. So not an issue for me. I'm sure Mario Party and all the Mario games and Zelda or whatever Pokemon work perfectly with this. So for this aspect, I think this is cool. I think it's good.
yeah. I thought this was unequivocally a big positive for the presentation. I really liked that they did this.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect me or really anybody I know, but for those who it does affect, it'll be great.
Yes. So now let's talk about the console itself. So they went into detail on the actual hardware and all its features, like its buttons, how everything works. So first of all, the screen is bigger than the Switch 1. It is 7.9 inches, while the Switch 1 is 6.2 inches. But it's the same thickness as Switch 1. So it's bigger, but it's just as thick as the Switch 1, which that's what it looks like in the pictures and the videos and stuff. That looks like the
Yeah.
same thickness. It has double the pixels of the Switch 1, and it's a 1080 screen, 1080p screen. So the Switch 1 was a 720 screen, I believe. This is 1080p. Now they promised the gameplay is going to be up to 120 frames per second. Now that I'm not sure on that one because Xbox and PlayStation love to push that too. And it's like a very select few games that actually hit that, and there's always gonna be sacrifices to get to that point. So I got to see more games with that, but that is cool on the surface. The LCD screen has HDR support, so this is LCD again. Now this is disappointing to me. This is one of my most disappointing parts of the Switch 2, is that I'm used to OLED because I have a Switch OLED. And now I'm going back to LCD. LCD is not as good as OLED, even though the LCD has come a long way and it looks like a great screen. Like LCD on the PlayStation Portal, for example, looks amazing, and the LCD on the ROG Ally looks great. So the screen's gonna look great, but still, it's still not an OLED, and this is one of my most disappointing aspects. That I just know Nintendo's gonna make an OLED version in like a year or whatever, and I don't want to rebuy this.
Yep.
Just to have an OLED version. So
Yeah, it didn't bother me because I don't care about stuff like that, but I heard from other people that this was a disappointment. It wasn't even something that really occurred to me, honestly, when they were talking about it. But yeah, they'll definitely make a Switch 2 OLED version. It's kind of weird because they have a Switch 1 OLED version, so they have the technology. They could just do it with the Switch 2, but got to make that money. Got to get that money out of people somehow, I guess.
It's just hard to go back because I use an OLED monitor right now, like what I'm using to talk to you. I use an OLED monitor to play games. I use a Steam Deck OLED. I use a Switch OLED. So OLED is so much better. Like I can't even describe how much better it is when you actually put them next to each other. How much better OLED looks. So it is a disappointment. But with that said, I'm not saying the screen's gonna be bad. The LCD has come a long way. Like the LCD on the original Switch in 2017 doesn't look as good anymore because that was old technology. It's been 8 years. LCD's come a long way. So it's still gonna look great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's gonna look terrible. It's just not as good as OLED. And I know they're gonna make an OLED version down the road, and I don't want to rebuy this console or trade mine in and go through all that again. But I think what I'm gonna do this time, instead of like I did with the Switch One, is I think I'm gonna play this one mostly in docked mode this time. Like my Switch One, I played mostly in handheld mode, but because I have a Steam Deck now and I'm just always using that, I feel like that's my handheld, and so Switch 2 just feels more like a console for me, where I want to play a game in 4K. So, because they're promising games to be in 4K in the dock. The dock has a built-in fan, and they're saying games can be played in 4K. They showed the setting. They showed the menu of a game being switched to 4K with HDR, and they're promising it to be 120 frames per second. So those are all amazing things. That's a huge jump from the Switch One, which feels like a dinosaur now. All right, so let's talk about the Joy-Con 2 controllers. So first of all, they connect magnetically, like a really strong magnet. Now I'm curious how well that feels, because imagine if you're like really pissed and you like twist your Joy-Cons, is it gonna just pop right out? Like it's not. I'm sure it's stronger than that, but I'm like, how hard can you really push that? But there's a release button on the back of it. They said the SL and the SR buttons on the top are a lot bigger. They're bigger, which is great because I always found them too small, especially if you're using a Joy-Con as a controller, which I never do, but I've tried it and I hate that.
I had to do it every now and then when I was playing Smash with other
That's
people,
what I'm saying with
and
Smash.
sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes you just have to make do. So those were the only situations where I think I thought to myself, "Oh,
Yeah.
these buttons are kind of small, aren't they?"
Yeah. And then a really cool feature I thought with the controllers is that you can turn it into a mouse.
Yes.
You can play Metroid with a Joy-Con as a mouse. And that's awesome because it's a first-person shooter. First-person shooters are meant to play on mouse and keyboard. And yes, it's perfect. That was the coolest thing from the controllers, I thought. Otherwise, they're pretty much the same thing. They're just bigger, probably better. They're probably better designed. Hopefully, we don't have the issues with the last controllers, the drifting and all that. That was a nightmare with the Joy Cons. I had drifting a couple times, so hopefully the sticks are better. Because I use 8-bit dough, which is quality controller maker who's way cheaper than everybody else, and I love their controllers, and they have Hall effect, means you cannot have drift problems with them. So I hope there's something similar to that, because I don't want to deal with buying $80-$90 Joy-Cons again. I'm not buying every color again. I might get one here and there, but I really think the black looks nice. I think it looks cool.
It looks really good.
Yeah. All right. I'll go a little faster with this one. Better speakers, they said. Better, more clear speakers. There's a built-in microphone, as we talked about, and they claim it has noise canceling technology. So if there's noise in your background, your microphone should still sound very clear to the people listening to you.
I liked that a lot. I thought that was good.
Yeah, but again, that's something I have to test. You really can't show that. And they did like a montage with music, so it just doesn't.
Yes.
That's not really gonna reveal how it works. It uses 3D audio, so welcome to 2025. The modern consoles all use 3D audio. Really cool is they have a larger, more sturdier kickstand this time, which is great because the kickstand on the Switch One is terrible. a lot of people have cases on there, so it's not an issue to them. But the base Switch had a bad kickstand, in my opinion. Um, an awesome thing I felt was that it has two USB C ports, which is amazing because that's my biggest issue with the Steam Deck is I only have one USB C port. So if I'm using an SSD, I can't charge my Steam Deck at the same time, and it's very annoying. But in this case, there's a USB C port on the bottom and there's a USB C port on the top. So if you're playing handheld, you can charge your Switch and plug something into the bottom. So that's cool. I really like that. It comes with 256 gigabytes of storage compared to the 32 gigabytes of Switch One. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot at all, really. That's one Call of Duty game. So, I think with Switch games though, they're never as big as like modern AAA games. So, it's not really an issue. But you can buy cards anyway, micro SD cards, so it's not really an issue. I'm gonna buy those as I always do. So, I think if you get to like 500 gigabytes, half a terabyte, I think that's perfectly fine for a Switch too. Games are not going to be like Grand Theft Auto 6, but if they are, then yeah, it's going to be an issue, and you're gonna have to spend $90-$100 possibly to get really good space. Just be mindful of that for people who like to buy digital. All right. Although you still have to probably have a lot of storage because all the physical games have to be scanned and downloaded online anyway. They promised that the data is read and written way faster, and they showed it too. They showed like I think it was Yoshi, the Yarn Yoshi game, and if it loaded in like 10 seconds faster, it looked like, so it was way faster. So that was cool. We talked about the 4K already. I'll believe it when I see it. It's probably like a 4K, like a PS4 Pro 4K, like checkered 4K. But I'm excited just because Nintendo optimizes their games extremely well. So I'm excited to see what they can do with that kind of power. HDR works with TV mode. The dock has a built-in fan, as I talked about, and then finally, you can play Switch 2 games and compatible Switch 1 games on it, physically and digitally. But we'll talk about that later. All right. So that's the hardware. That's everything that they mentioned in the showcase. That's literally everything. So let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. So this is a paid demo.
Boo! I couldn't fucking believe this. I'm sorry to come out of nowhere. I could not believe this. So Nintendo fucking announces only as they can a fucking digital tour on Nintendo Switch 2, which by itself is fine. It looks fine. It looks interesting. Yeah. Can answer questions. You have to pay money for a fucking manual. I couldn't believe this. What is happening with Nintendo that they think this is a good idea? I don't know how much it is. I think it's only like $20 or $10 or I don't fucking know.
I wouldn't buy this for $5.
No, I know. I'm just saying I don't actually know how much it is, but right. Yeah, but it's just like, what the fuck? What is going on here?
Yeah, like it can't be that complicated where you have to buy a game just to learn the systems. Guys, don't buy this. Don't support this.
Good garbage. Absolute I am critical about I'm critical about some of this showcase. This was one of the big things after once I realized it was paid and what it really was, and like what like putting two and two together like some people did on the intro. I'm like,
they said at the end.
Fuck.
Yeah,
they did, and I didn't think about it, but like once people were like, isn't it weird they're charging for a manual? I'm like, wait, it is fucking weird. What the fuck? Like I didn't think about it, but once I did, I was like,
It's especially bad when you consider PS5 when it launched had Astrobot, and it was a full on game, and it was a phenomenal game, and it was free. It was already able to be downloaded on PS5. So this is where like Nintendo's nickel and diming the fans, and we'll talk about it later. But this is one of those red flags, and it can't be that. I know I'm speaking from like a gamer's perspective that knows hardware and technology very well, but I can't imagine Switch 2 is that complicated where you need to play a $20 game to learn how to use it. It can't be that complicated. You're not programming. You're not playing this game on. You're not playing a Switch 2 game on Linux and learning a whole new processing. You know what I mean? Like, don't buy this,
Right.
guys. Don't buy this.
Yeah. Please don't buy this.
Yeah. So the character just walks around, gets information about the console, and these like mini games and tech demos you can do to try out the Joy Cons, which is cool. But if it's like $20, no, it can't be. The Joy Cons can't be that different from their previous Joy Cons. I mean, they're
$90.
They're pretty much the
90
same.
fucking dollars.
They're pretty much the same. The Joy Cons are just bigger and better, but they're the same thing. What do you need to test out? All right. Besides the mouse thing, again, but you can test that out with any game that uses that. So it's really not something you need to buy. Anyway, let's move on. All right. So I hit on this already a little bit. I'll go fast. Storage. This is the storage cartridges. They're the same size as the Switch 1 games, but now they're red. But they read data much faster this time. The Switch 2 only works with micro SD express cards. So anything that doesn't say express does not work on the Switch 2. So be very careful when you're buying micro SDs that it says express. Now I only buy express anyway because it really does make a monumental difference. Pay the difference. It really is really worth it. Because remember, you're not going to buy like 5 of these, right? Micro SDs. You can buy it like one time and it's going to last you like the entire generation. So don't go cheap on that. Just get it out of the way and get the express. Which you have to know anyway. You can transfer data from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. Game key cards. So now this was a controversy with people. Game key cards are different from regular game cards. This is from their website because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, the game key card is your key to downloading the full game to your system via the internet. After it's downloaded, you can play games by inserting the game key card into your system, starting it up like a standard physical game card. All right, so basically, these people are saying this is the death of physical games on Nintendo because you're not really buying the full game on the physical cartridge. You have to download it off the internet. You only get like a portion of the game or whatever. You're getting a key to the game, and then you have to download it from the internet, and then you can use the physical cartridge for it to work. So you have to have internet. Now, this is a non-issue for most people, of course. They have internet, but obviously, not everybody in the world has internet, and it's from a privileged place to expect. This is why people get pissed about like PlayStation with Steam and requiring Sony login to play games on PC and all that stuff. Same thing here. I don't like that. It doesn't affect me, especially because I buy digital. But I don't like this. I think physical media should be separate from digital media. Now, I guess it's no different than anything else because PS5 and Xbox, you put the disc in, you still have to download a million things, right? Games never just work outside the box, but it's just one of those things. It's part of how gaming is now, but it sucks, right? Dory, you have anything to say about that? Or no?
I actually didn't. This part of it flew over my head. I guess this is an.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This part wasn't really in the showcase. It was
okay.
It was vaguely in it, and people were getting all the information after the fact.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I didn't even know about any of this, honestly. But yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. I'm not super happy about that. I don't really know what to say other than that. I think it's weird. I don't know who would even do that. Is it just like, is the thing that it costs less money, but it's not the full game? Or like, why would you even get this? Why wouldn't you just get the full game?
Yeah, it's very confusing because like, you're not even buying, you're just getting the like a digital version of the game in the box. You're not getting like the actual physical cartridge. Just, I guess it's not new, and it's not all games, but it's definitely just, I don't know. I'm a digital gamer now, so no issue on me, but I do feel bad for physical media. It's like gaming industry wants to get rid of physical media. Like we're just getting more away from it. And I think there's a place for it. But I guess I need to see more information on it because it seems like a lot of loose information with this. So I'm not outraged, but it's definitely a controversy I've seen. People are not happy with that. All right, the Switch 2 Pro controller has a C button. It has, for the first time, two back buttons, which is cool. I have 8-bit though controllers that already have that, so it doesn't really appeal to me. But it looks cool. $90 though, so be mindful of that, I think. And it has an audio jack in the bottom. All right, so that's pretty much all the hardware. We hit on everything. All right, and it comes out on June 5th. The whole console comes out June 5th. So that's the
Yep.
release date of the Switch 2, which is
That's also when Seb will know how I'm doing, by the way.
and that's near my birthday is like 12 days from that, so it's around my birthday. And I'll be off in the summer, so that'd be cool too. So I get to play Switch 2, no work besides like a class around me, so I'll have freedom to play around with it. All right, so let's talk about the games now. So I know Dory's not a big hardware person, so what I'm saying is just boring. But now we talk about actual games. All right, so let's talk about Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 edition. Now, this is the point of the show where they started talking about all of the Switch 1 games that have upgraded versions of them, which were controversies also. We'll talk about the controversial also, so we'll talk about that. So Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 edition plus Jamboree TV. It has upgraded mouse control. It has audio recognition, better rumble, and gameplay that uses the camera. So it has all the new features of Switch 2.
I just want to say this is a Kingdom Hearts ass fucking title.
And they all
this
have
title
this.
just goes on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Not the first time they've done this. They did like that Mario game where it had like Bowser's Fury add on at the top at the
Right. I remember people memeing about that when that happened. Yeah, I was like, what in the Kingdom Hearts?
Now the cool thing, but not something that interests me, but the cool thing they had was the people were playing Mario Party and you had their faces next to the characters, and they're like making their cringy, I'm pretending I'm playing a game faces, but it doesn't interest me at all. But I thought it was pretty cool. They have a couple new modes, Bowser Live, so you're on Bowser's like having a show, and you're on stage and you're doing all these like body movement activities and your voice. It felt very Kinect. This feels like Xbox Kinect.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, and that was never for me. I'm not that gamer.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not into it either.
I thought the Carnival Coaster was kind of cool though, where you use the mouse to shoot down enemies with the Joy-Cons. That was cool. You could feel the rumble with the coaster, and there's mini games built into like the pipes when you go into the pipes, and some of them remind me of the Astrobot where you're climbing on the.
I thought that too. I was like, all right, I see you. Like, welcome back, Team Asobi. Like, nice to see you again.
Yeah. So, this game is also $80. If you don't have the original version, and it comes out July 24th of this year. But if you already own it, you can upgrade it by buying an upgrade pack. Now, we don't know the pricing of the upgrade packs. We're still waiting. People are putting the math together using the Japanese currency, and it's probably going to be between $10 to $15 to upgrade, which isn't too bad, I guess. I mean, first of all, I think it should be free anyway. But PS5's already been doing this with Do you remember like Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us and all that? It costs $10 to upgrade. Not a big deal to me. I'm not defending Sony, but like you get like the remember Ghost of Tsushima, you get the island expansion thing, and that was worth $10. So I was fine with that. But yeah, it is greedy. But we're still waiting for the price. I really hope it's not like $20 to upgrade these games. That would be BS. Like that'd be ridiculous. I have no interest. I have no interest in Mario Party anyway. I just don't play Mario Party. But $80, oh my god. But what's stopping me from like buying the first game, like the Switch 1 version, for like $50 or $40 or whatever it's on sale, and then just upgrading for $10 or whatever. You know what I mean? So that seems like the better move than spending $80 on a Mario Party game. Who's gonna buy Mario Party for $80?
No fucking thank you. Again, another Nintendo game that like I enjoy. Kim and I played Mario Party Superstar or whatever the fuck that was released a few years ago for the Switch, and like I think we got like less than a week out of it before we stopped playing. But like, so I enjoy it like casually, but Mario Party has never been for me. I always find it more fun to watch people play Mario Party, or if you've got a lot of friends, obviously that's a Mario Party situation, especially if you don't mind losing a couple friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. I'm
No,
not a huge fan of the $10, $20 thing.
me
I
either.
wish it was free, and I also wish if they are going to charge that it was like a base chart, like there's just a one-time fee of one
Yeah.
thing. It's not one's 10, one's 20, one's whatever.
Yeah, one time.
But
Yeah. Because even though I don't like it that Sony's done it, the $10 for every game that I paid for that, I felt like I felt like it was fine. I felt like it was worth it. Like the Horizon remaster looks a lot better. I thought Ghost of Tsushima looked a lot better. I thought Last of Us Part 2 looked a lot better. So the $10 to me was fine. But like I get a feeling this is gonna be like $20 upgrade, and I am not paying no $20 upgrade. I'm sorry, it ain't worth it.
yeah,
All right. Now Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, which obviously two of my game of the years, or one of them was almost game of the year, and Breath of the Wild was my game of the year. Tears of the Kingdom was second after Baldur's Gate. But either way, Tears of the Kingdom, I absolutely love. I have a poster right next to me. I have Zelda stuff everywhere. I love Zelda. My favorite, it's my favorite Nintendo franchise after Pokemon, and I thought it was cool to have a notes on your app, like on the Nintendo app, where like it shows you the map and you can interact with the game like that, and it has like GPS built in because that game really good at that game really needs GPS sometimes. And I thought that was cool. I thought that was really cool that you can share like QR codes and like share your creations with other people. That was really cool, and it summons the
yes,
vehicle. In
I
your
like
own
that a
game.
lot.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
really cool. And if you have Switch Online, now the expansion version where you're paying $50 a year, like one you need to get all the emulators,
Right.
you can upgrade both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom for free, so you don't have to pay anything. Now personally, as much as I love these games, I beat them. I'm good. I don't need to play them again. I don't have the time. Too many games coming out. I don't have another 70, 80, 100 hours for these games. So it doesn't appeal to me, but it's not a big deal that they're focusing on this. But because obviously these games definitely need better performance. Like having upgrades for this is a big game changer for these games. Because that was the one issue with both those games was that they're just on inferior hardware, and the best version of those games were like pirated, emulated versions that people got from the internet and played on their PCs in 4K. But obviously,
Right.
I'm not messing with Nintendo's lawyers. And but my issue with this is that Breath of the Wild is $70 for the Switch 2 version, and Tears of the Kingdom is $80 for the Switch 2 version. $80. Okay, Tears of the Kingdom of all these $80 games is probably worth the $80 more than any other game because that game you can put like 500 hours into. I'm not paying no $80. Hell to no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would just upgrade anyway because I already own it. But you get what I'm saying. It's terrible, terrible pricing. We'll talk about the pricing in full detail after this. Kirby and the Forgotten World, Nintendo Switch 2 edition plus Starcrossed World, so another big long title. This is the game. This is the one game that I'm definitely excited to upgrade because I want to play the DLC, the new expansion part.
Mm.
If it's like $10, if it's $10 for a new expansion part, seems reasonable to me. If it's $10, assuming. I already own it, and I really love this game. Obviously, I'm wearing a Kirby shirt right now. I love Kirby, and I'm sold on it for now, depending on like everything. But if you didn't own this game and you want to buy the Switch 2 version, it's $80. It's a great game. Love a game. Love that game. And it ain't $80 good. Do not buy this for $80, people. Like you don't have to listen to me. You can buy whatever you want. It's your money. But you know what I'm saying? Like I do not
Yeah.
recommend. It's a really good platformer. It's not $80 good, and it's very short. So do what you want. I'm saying I don't think it's worth $80. But
No, I played some of Kirby. and the Forgotten World with Kim. I think we got through maybe the first world or something like that. And I enjoyed it, but we never followed up on it. We never finished it. But I liked it, but it didn't move me greatly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that's the one game I will upgrade and play on the Switch too. All right, next game, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Now,
This looks good.
yeah, this was the best game at the showcase in my opinion. Um, this is a Nintendo One version and Nintendo Switch 2 version. Obviously, I'm gonna get the Switch 2 version. It uses I put mouth, but it's just a mouse control. It uses mouse control with the Joy-Cons. That was a highlight that you can shoot enemies using the Joy-Con as a mouse.
Yes.
Now I'm curious how I can pull it off my setup because I would have to like play on my desk or something to make the mouse work because how well it works on a bed or a chair or something. But we'll see. I'll have to be creative of how I handle that. But the game looks gorgeous. It looks amazing. It looks really fun. It's gonna be. I know it's gonna be a quality game. I'm sure it's gonna be in the 90s in Metacritic. I'm pretty confident.
It looks really good.
Every Metroid Prime game is good, so I'm pretty confident this game's gonna be great. But the one thing that really jumped out about it was the numbers they gave us. There's 2 modes you can play in, and they showed this on screen. 4K, 60 frames per second HDR. That's called the fidelity mode.
Right.
Or you can play in 1080p in 120 frames, and that's considered performance mode. Now, 60 and 120 is a difference, but if I'm already getting 60, which is already awesome, right? I would just play in 4K 60. I would not play in 120.
I would as well.
Because if you're getting 60, then awesome, then play in 4K. I don't see the point of playing 1080p and getting 120, unless I'm playing like a multiplayer shooter or something where I need to frame rate matters more. But this game is all about the scenery and discovering things and exploring. So 4K is more important, I think, in that regard.
Yeah.
Because Metroid's gameplay is not like slow, but it's not Call of Duty. It's not Titanfall 2. You're not running on walls and stuff. So that was really cool. Those numbers are very impressive, like very impressive. And that makes me excited for the Switch 2 more than anything else. Is that if we can get quality games on the Switch 1 on like hardware that was old 10 years ago, now imagine how well it's going to look in 4K with like actual creative, talented developers. Like that's exciting. So
I do really like what we saw. There was some Treehouse gameplay that we saw.
Yeah.
Some basically a demo of the tutorial area, the first boss. It looks really fun. I'm very excited. I'm not getting a Switch 2, but I will be playing this on the Switch, and I'm very excited to play this game. I liked I know this is kind of like controversial. I thought the Metroid Prime remaster or remake or whatever was solid. I enjoyed it. There's some parts about Metroid I just inherently do not like. But I'm very excited for this. I think Metroid has obviously, or is going to obviously have to kind of change with the times. I'm sure it'll still retain some of its more frustrating tropes that I don't care for in Metroid games, but
like the backtracking.
I'm sure the backtracking, right? But I think that they'll be mitigated at least a little bit considering modern gamer sensibilities. But we'll see.
Yeah, and that's my big question for this game is obviously when you played the Metroid Prime 1 remaster, it showed its age in terms of the backtracking because like back then games did not hold your hand at all. I mean, like a little like to the extreme where it was like they just kind of throw you in there and you have to figure things out. And I'm looking. And Dory and I talked about this when we played it. You had to use a guide, or I would have been completely lost. Like there's just no way. Like I was using the guide for the whole game. I think you did too, right?
I did too. Yeah, fuck that. I did it very early.
Yeah.
And I do not regret it for a second.
So I hope that this game is more accessible in that regard. Metroid Dread, which is a new Metroid game, which is not first-person shooter, but it is a Metroidvania. It's the same kind of concept.
I love that you can do the mouse stuff. That really, that really moves me. That's good stuff.
But Metroid Dread had backtracking too, so I'm expecting backtracking in this game. I just hope it's more accessible. I hope it's just not like as bad as the first game is in terms of that. All right. Another thing that excited me is Pokemon Legends ZA. I talked about how I loved Pokemon Arceus when it came out. It was a really fun game, but the performance was horrendous. I'm what excites me about the showcase was that they showed that Pokemon Violet and Scarlet are getting Switch 2 upgrades. So we might finally get a good looking Pokemon game that has has pretty good performance, because that the one blemish on Pokemon right now has been the performance in these games. They've been very bad, and you blame whoever you want. Some people blame Game Freak, some people blame Nintendo. But either way, people blame gamers because they buy it anyway. But either way, if this game runs really well, it should be a fun game. I'm expecting it to be a good game. So if it runs very well, it's exciting. This is a game. This is a game I'm definitely getting on Nintendo Switch too. I love Pokemon's my favorite franchise on Nintendo. So, do you have any interest in this game? Because it is on Switch.
No, I have none. I think the blemish is kind of putting it mildly, but yeah, I've been open about this before.
It's the biggest blemish. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, sure. I think Pokemon as a series has kind of moved on without me. I feel the same way about it as I do about Zelda, unfortunately. I'm just not really into the formula right now. Doesn't mean I don't love the franchise. Doesn't mean I won't go back and play older games.
Yeah.
And I don't have a fondness for the series, but I feel like they've passed me by in terms of the gameplay they're currently offering. It's just not what I play Pokemon games for, not personally what I want.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's bad. Just means it's not my cup of tea, which is fine. Not everything needs to cater to me. So, and it rhymes, so it must be true.
Although the Pokemon Legends games are the ones that are different from the formula, because like you control the character and you dodge the Pokemon and stuff like that. So it's
kind of 1v1 them.
That's something. It might be something you like. You could, if you tried and liked it, but yeah, I understand that. Pokemon's not been in a great game wise. Has not been as good as it should be, I feel like. And the funny thing is, I'm more excited for Pokemon Coliseum and like XD being on the GameCube emulators than I am the new Pokemon game.
I'm with you on that. I am with you there.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk about that. It's coming up. Let's see. Games you already own can be purchased with an upgrade pack. So we talked about that already. You buy the upgrade pack. They showed it's only a few set of games, but obviously those are all the first party games. So I'm pretty sure it's not going to be every single game, but I'm pretty sure every first party game is guaranteed, I would say. It sounds like it's going to be $10 to $15, but this is people just speculating, using comparing the currency of Japan to us, and it seems like it lines up to be about $10 $15. Then they showed Drag X Drive, which was like a wheelchair game where you play basketball in a wheelchair and you do all the Joy-Con features. I don't really have much to say about it. It looks like it kind of reminded me of Rocket League, but basketball.
Yeah, I didn't really care for it. I saw an IGN preview of it, and they said it felt pretty clunky. So yeah, not much here.
Not something I'd buy. All right, so now we're gonna be in the third party category of the showcase. I know we've been talking for a long time, but there was that much stuff in this.
Yeah, there was a lot, and we preface this. People know we're gonna be talking about it.
Yeah. So the third party support, I'm not gonna go in full detail because I own most of these games, and we talked about all of these games in the past. Like nothing really new, except for a couple. All right. First of all, Elden Ring. They started off with Elden Ring, the Tarnished Edition, which means it's called Tarnished Edition because they're going to tarnish the frame rate and the graphics are going to look a lot worse. But Elden Ring, one of the greatest games ever made. I hope people enjoy it. Doesn't appeal to me. I have it on PS5 and PC. But if you never played it before, and you don't have a Steam Deck or a Rogue Ally or whatever, then awesome, you get to play Elden Ring in a portable device, so that's cool. All right, Hades 2. I haven't played Hades 2 yet. Should be coming out officially this year, right?
Yes, it should.
It came on early access last year. Dory, I think you beat it, right?
I did not beat it. I have put about 40 hours into it. I could not beat the main boss.
Oh yeah.
So I very saltily kind of gave up on it until the full game comes out. But I love it. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I've done practically I had until they put out the two newest big upgrades to it or expansions or whatever. Yeah. So I'm actually behind on the content. But at that point, I had done basically everything in the game, except beat the final boss. But now they've brought the Olympic expansion and a couple of other expansions, so there's more stuff I haven't done. At this point, I'm just waiting for the full game to come out, and then I will get back into it. But I'm waiting for that because at this point, I played a lot of the game, and I wouldn't want to play it just to start the expansions and then wait for the full game to come out. And I'll just wait for the whole thing.
Yeah. I put 60 hours into Hades last year, so I beat it, got all the achievements. So Hades 2 is my goal for this year. So when it officially comes out, I'm gonna seriously play Hades 2. I think this is cool for the Switch. When Hades first came out, I played it originally on the Switch. Like that's the first time I played it for like 30 hours was on the Switch, and I think you beat it on the Switch too, right?
I did. I loved it.
Yeah. And then obviously when I actually beat it, like full on, went in all in and beat it and all the achievements, I played it on the Steam Deck. So this game is just tailor made for a portable device. So this is awesome for the Switch too. And Hades 2 is a great game. So they're amazing developers. Street Fighter 6 is coming to Switch 2. It's called Street Fighter 2 6 Years 1 to 2 Fighters Edition. It includes 26 characters, and there's 3 new amiibos. The amiibos look cool. As somebody that collects amiibos somewhat, but they're $30 for amiibos. No, I'm sorry, not for me. I ain't spend $30 on amiibos. So that was another sign of nickel and diming the audience. I'm like, no, thank you. They showed Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. I never played the first one. Have you ever played Daemon X Machina?
I never played any of them. No.
Yeah, not for me. It's a Machina game, so you can figure it out. It's a mech game. Split Fiction. We got to see Joseph Ferris on the showcase. That was cool.
Hell yeah.
Dory and I both love it. I think it's Dory's game of the year still. It's my second favorite.
It is.
It's my second favorite game. They showed that all the EA Sports games are coming to Switch for the first time, so that was cool. Madden, you can finally play Madden on Switch, so that was cool. Hogwarts Legacy. As somebody that has played it on the Steam Deck, I would not play this portably. I would put this on a PC or a PS5 or something. So just be mindful of that. You're getting an inferior version probably, but hey, whatever. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. We've talked about this. This is really cool. I'm sure it's going to run really well on the Switch too. We're both interested in it. Dory's coming on Game Pass, so Dory can play it on Game Pass. And yeah, what else is there to say? It's cool. Hitman World of Assassination is coming to Switch too, so that was cool. Project 007. So this was our first insight into it. Like I can't recall ever seeing this at a showcase. Like I knew about it.
No, I don't think they've ever showed this at a showcase. This was my holy shit moment because I didn't expect this at a Nintendo showcase of all things.
Yeah.
Didn't expect to hear from IO at all about this, but this was really cool. I grew up watching a lot of 007. I of course grew up playing GoldenEye.
That's what I thought it was at first. I thought it was something.
Yeah, I played Everything or Nothing, which is one of my favorite PS2 games. I feel is super underrated. I really like 007 video games. I haven't really kept up with the movies in years, ever since Casino Royale, I think. But I really enjoyed the games when I was younger. So this was a big moment for me. And IO is a great developer. Obviously, their pedigree speaks for itself with the Hitman World of Assassination trilogy, which I love. All 3 of those games are awesome.
Yeah. Now I'm curious what kind of game it's going to be. Is it going to be a first-person shooter? Is it going to be a third-person shooter? Is it going to be like the Hitman games, or is it going to be like GoldenEye? So, time will tell. All right, but yeah, I'm definitely interested in this. I've known about this game for quite a while, but it's been a couple years. I feel like that we got the news about it, but we've gotten nothing since then. I feel like so. Hopefully, the game's close to being done. Maybe next year. They gotta have something to show. I would think maybe Summer Game Fest. We'll see more of the game. That feels right. Like you're hinting at it in the Switch 2 show, and then you show it at Summer Game Fest. All right. So Bravely Default Flying Fair. I think that's what it was called. Is an HD remastered version of their game. Bravely Default's really good. I recommend it. It's a turn-based JRPG. It's called Bravely Default because as a cool system where you can go all in on your attack. Like you can sacrifice 3 of your turns to attack 3 times in a row, and you gotta live with the consequences of doing that. It's cool. Storyline's cool. People really like it. It's very underrated. It is on Steam, so I'm curious if this is coming to Steam as well. The remaster, I'm assuming, but I recommend it. It's a good JRPG. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. Now this was cool. It has extra footage, like extra cutscenes of Yakuza 0, which is arguably the best game in the series. And it sounds like we're not getting Director's Cut on Steam or PS5 or whatever. It's like that's coming out like 6 months later. So this is like exclusive to Switch for now, Switch 2 for now. But that's what's cool out of nowhere. What did you think about this?
This was definitely a welcome surprise. I really like that. I'm a huge fan of Yakuza 0. That was the first Yakuza game I ever played. I love it. It's an incredible experience, and I really recommend this to anybody who somehow has not played it yet.
Yeah. Now, my only thing with this is that you're probably going to have to pay full price for this on the Switch too. And this game is always on sale on Steam for like $8, $10. And they're in collections and stuff, bundles. I recommend getting somewhere else. Unless you're only a Switch player, I would get this somewhere else. But that's just me. So yeah. I don't think a director's cut is worth paying full price for it if it's cheap somewhere else. All right, so Borderlands 4, Randy Pitchford. That's pretty much it. Not something I'd play on the Switch too. I would get it on PC. Or on PS5 or Xbox. Civilization 7. For me, Civilization just plays better on PC. I wouldn't get anywhere else. Then they talked about 2K games. WWE 2K and NBA 2K are coming to the Switch. Again, games that tend to skip the Switch. So the Switch is getting all the third-party stuff back. So that's cool. Then they showed Star Seeker Astroneer Expeditions was from Devolver. It doesn't really appeal to me, but it looked kind of cool. Did this jump out to you, or do you remember this one?
Oh, which one is this? Sorry.
Star Seeker Astroneer Expeditions. It's from Devolver.
No, I did not. I don't even remember this game. No.
Okay. It is on Steam, so it is coming to different platforms. It's not exclusive. But it looked like a kind of reminded me of No Man's Sky, but like different camera angle. Comes out next year. I don't know much about it either. I have to relook at it, but it has a unique art style, so something to keep an eye out on. Then they showed Cyberpunk 2077 running on.
Oh, that was cool.
That was cool. Now, obviously, this plays on the Steam Deck, and I've seen it run pretty well, but you're not getting like the best version of it. And again, this is one of those games where I would not recommend on a handheld unless you have no other choice. But if the Switch 2 is similar to Steam Deck in the power, which it seems like they're not that far off, it should run pretty well. I was listening to Kind of Funny, like their viewpoint of this game, like they played it. They sent 2 people to play it, and they sent Tim and Blessing to play it, and it sounds like it plays well on the Switch 2. So that's cool. But if you have a high-end PC, obviously play it there. Final Fantasy VII Intergrade. This was a pleasant surprise, right? Now we knew Final Fantasy was coming to everything now because Square Enix was losing money, and they said we don't want to make this exclusive anymore. But it's just, isn't it crazy that Final Fantasy VII Remake came to Switch before Xbox? Like it just never came to Xbox. So I'm assuming that Rebirth will probably come to Switch 2 next year or something like that as well. This is cool, right?
Yeah, I like this. I am glad. It was objectively the most hilarious thing that they could have done. So they're building up all this, and they show Silk Song for about 5 fucking seconds, and everyone freaks out in the chat. People have been waiting for Silk Song for I don't even know how long. Yeah. This reconfirms that it's coming out this year, supposedly. I don't have any interest in Hollow Knight. It's not really for me, but I'm glad for people who can finally shut the fuck up about it. Now, Seb, if only we could get Bloodborne 2. Hint, 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 hint.
Duskbloods was a weird game because I'm like, is this Bloodborne 2 and it's exclusive to
Also,
Switch 2?
yeah, yes, I also thought that. I was like, is this Bloodborne 2?
I think
What is happening?
everybody had that because I heard that because again, kind of funny was like at the Nintendo at the New York event, and they were saying everybody in the crowd was like whispering, "Is this Bloodborne 2? Is this Bloodborne 2?" And it basically was right. It well, first of all, From Software is they're making a lot of they're just pumping out games now, and this game is exclusive to Switch 2, which is I guess is kind of disappointing, but whatever. And it's a multiplayer game, so it kind of lost me with that one. Honestly, it's a multiplayer only game.
Yeah, I have no interest in this, but I did think the whole thing was interesting.
But the design of it looked cool. So if anything,
Yes.
I'll watch people play it. Just not for me. I don't have anyone to play this with. I'm not friends with a lot of like Nintendo multiplayer people. Like everybody I play multiplayer with plays on PC or PlayStation. So it's cool. I thought it was really cool. It was a really pleasant surprise. One of the best surprises at the show. I'm not saying it was bad or anything, but it's just not for me personally. And Dory doesn't really play a lot of Souls games, so just not for either of us really. But it's cool to see a spiritual successor to Bloodborne, pretty much, because it pretty much was Bloodborne. I mean, it was Bloodborne everything but name, really. All right, and then they showed Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. So I'm glad that they're not giving up on Tears of the Kingdom and all that stuff to give us another game. It's like Dynasty Warriors. So obviously, if you like those kind of games where you just smack a bunch of enemies on screen, get it. It's from Koei Tecmo, which makes Dynasty Warriors. So if you like those kind of games, that was really cool. All right, and then one of the best parts of the show was the GameCube Classics review. Now, to be honest with you, now that I have a Steam Deck and I emulate games on my Steam Deck, including GameCube games, and I can play GameCube games on my PC and my phone, it kind of takes the wind out of the sails of this reveal, but it is easy and smooth and has all the features of using the Switch, so that's cool. So they said we can play online with friends. We get better resolution. You get customized controls, and they focused on 3 games. They gave us Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero XGX. All great games. Wind Waker, obviously, love, and I love Soul Calibur. I don't know if you play Soul Calibur 2, but
I played 3. I played the one with the guy who had the scythe and was all about time and shit. I think that was Soul Calibur 3.
see, Soul Calibur 2 was great because if you had the GameCube version, which I did, you get to play as Link. And that was cool.
Yeah,
And
that's obviously why they had it here.
and the
I did know about that.
The Xbox version had Spawn, if I remember correctly. And I think the PS2 version had Hiachi from Tekken. I know I think Soul Calibur 3 or 4 had like Yoda and Darth Vader. Depending what version you had. I think Yoda was the Xbox and
Yoda was Xbox because he's green. Darth Vader was PlayStation because the suit is black.
And PS3 was black, I guess.
Yes. I had to be very careful because I was about to say because he's black, but not quite right.
Anyway,
it's kind of complicated because his voice actor, but never mind. You get it.
Well, I guess the PS3, the original one, did look kind of like a Darth Vader's armor. Like it was like black and silver, and it was shiny. Yeah. All right, and chapters 1 to 4. So we're getting 2 more episodes. Sounds like, and it's coming to Switch too. I only played the first one. I've only played Undertale, the first one, and I beat that. But I never played 2. Have you ever played the series before?
I played Delta Rune Chapter 1, and I liked it. But I waited for the next chapters, and then I'd have to go back and play Chapter 1. Honestly, it's been so long.
This is Undertale, right?
Yeah, this is Toby Fox. It's Undertale. But it's like the spiritual successor or a prequel or
I'm not sure.
happening along. I don't fucking know. Toby Fox is just doing Toby Fox things.
Yeah, I apologize, indie fans. It's just not something I played.
Yeah, but fun fact, Toby Fox is originally from Manchester, New Hampshire. So go us.
Nice. All right, so the last 2 games that they showed were really cool, and definitely I'm gonna get Kirby Air Riders. Now, right off the bat, as soon as I saw Kirby riding on the star, I knew that it was Air Riders. It's a really fun racing game on the GameCube way back when, like 20 years ago. And it's from Sakurai, like the guy that makes Smash Brothers.
Yep.
And that's huge. I have full confidence this game's going to be good. This is awesome. Now, you could say it's a little redundant having like 2 racing games in the same showcase, but whatever. This is definitely a game I'm going to get. So this is really interesting. I love Kirby. It looks like a fun game. I want to keep my eye out on it. This is cool.
Yeah, doesn't do anything for me for obvious reasons, but I was happy to see Sakurai.
Yeah, I'm glad he's gotten a break from like Smash.
Yeah,
reveals.
Fuck you for real.
Yeah, he could have retired just based on getting Sora and.
Yeah, he could have pieced the fuck out. I would not have complained.
Donkey Kong Bonanza. That was the big final game that they showed, which looked amazing. By the way, it was a 3D platformer. They completely redesigned Donkey Kong. He looks more like the movie version, and he looked more expressive. But I can see why people don't like the new design. It's definitely different, and people hate change, of course. But it looked really fun. This is where I saw the power of the new device, like the way that he was slamming on everything and destroying the ground and going through all these like crazy tunnels and all the constant like pixels being and animations that were coming on screen. It felt like a Mario Odyssey like level of like optimization and quality. What made Mario Odyssey so phenomenal and one of the greatest platformers ever. This game had that vibe. I'm not saying it's gonna be as good as Mario Odyssey, but it feels like a AAA quality platformer. And this is day one. This is one of the marquee games for me to get day one. Comes out in July 17, so it's only a month after the Switch too. So it's not a launch game, but it's like a launch window game.
Yeah, this is my one regret of not getting a Switch 2 is not going to be able to play this game, but I'll just put up with it because it's way too much money, as we'll talk about soon. I do want to also mention when they talked about the GameCube Classics series, I did feel my body decomposing a little bit as I was watching. I was like, no, don't call it a classic, no!
Yeah, technically Xbox 360 and PS3 are classics now too. It came out.
Yeah, because they're older than 20 years, right?
2005.
Fuck me, dude.
I mean, if you think about it, PS4 is 12 years old now. That's gonna be a classic.
Seb, I am going to hurt you. Please stop talking.
PS2 is gonna be a classic in like 5 years. PS4 is gonna be a classic in 5 years. I was in college. All right, so that was the showcase. So overall, I thought it was okay. I didn't love the showcase, but I wasn't mad or anything. I thought it was fine. The reason I didn't love it is because I feel like there could have been more games, like launch games or like more release dates or something. Like a lot of games just said 2025. A lot of the features didn't appeal to me, or a lot of the games didn't appeal to me because I already own most of them, and I wouldn't play them on the Switch anyway. So to me, it was like a C+ kind of showcase. People are like really hyped for it. I'm not like raining on their parade or anything, but overall, I thought it was like a C+ showcase. Nothing wowed me besides like maybe Donkey Kong and Metroid. But don't get me wrong, I feel like there's a lot of quality games coming to the Switch 2 this year. So I'm not saying it's not that. It's just the showcase itself. A lot of stuff in there just didn't appeal to me at all, and I feel like long segments of hardware talk that are kind of already new or figured, or like accessories I'm not going to buy. But I think the main thing was that the pricing soured the showcase for a lot of people. Dory, what did you?
I'm a little higher on this than you are. Yeah. I would give it probably a B, but I do understand the price problems for sure, and I also understand like there wasn't enough games shown, perhaps, or at least not enough launch titles.
Yeah.
Some of the hardware stuff went on a little long. I do agree with that. I do think the pricing is really the big issue.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, I'm less invested in Nintendo than I've ever been in my life, really. So it just didn't bother me, some of those things, because I either wasn't going to buy them to begin with, or I just was going to buy it later on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a B for me. It was a solid show, but the pricing and some of the hardware focus and the lack of launch titles and a couple of other things that impacted my enjoyment of it. But overall, I
Yeah.
really liked seeing 007. I liked that Silk Song got announced. I liked Donkey Kong and Metroid. There was just a lot of good stuff here too.
Yeah, the main thing for me was just I wasn't like wowed by anything. Like nothing felt like wow, I have to really go out and buy a Switch 2. Besides maybe like Donkey Kong. Because Metroid obviously is on Switch 1, so you don't have to buy the Switch 2 for that. But either way, it lacked that like big moment, like, oh, I have to get this. But there's a lot of great games coming out this year for Switch 2, and I'm excited. So it did its job. Even I'm just rating the showcase and not like Nintendo overall. So it was fine. It was a fine showcase. I wasn't like hyped. Like I saw you like Kind of Funny was calling it like a masterpiece showcase, and they gave like a 10 out of 10 on their scale, and I wasn't getting that. There's been very few showcases. The only showcase I ever felt like was a masterpiece was like Sony when they revealed God of War with the live orchestra and things like that. Like that's different, you know what I mean? But and we got Spider. I think we got Spider-Man in that showcase as well. And maybe Resident Evil 2. Anyway, I think that was all in the same showcase. I want to say, but maybe not. It was something like that. Anyway, all right. Now that's everything for the showcase. So we're gonna get into controversies. This is not gonna go too long because we already hit on most of them anyway. But I just want to go in a little more detail. First of all, pre-orders were supposed to come out. Pre-orders were supposed to start on April 9th, but then that got delayed due to the tariffs, and we've gotten no date of when the pre-orders are going to open in the United States. Some places already are able to pre-order them in different countries, but we have to wait. Nintendo says they're not changing their release date, so I don't know what's going on with that. You would think they would change their release date too. So that's a big conversation. Obviously, the tariffs are a big topic in America. I mean, it affects us all. Everything's about to get more expensive, unfortunately. And that includes technology because a lot of our technology is, created and manufactured in Asia and other countries, and that includes Nintendo. Nintendo manufactures their hardware in Vietnam, not China. And unfortunately, we put like a 45% tariff on Vietnam. So if they retaliate or whatever, things are about to get a lot more expensive. Now, did Nintendo know this was going to happen? I'm assuming that they knew the tariffs were going to happen. Like Trump promised this his entire campaign. Like he's done everything he said he was going to do. So we knew the tariffs were coming. I'm sure Nintendo did. Stock markets were all paying attention to that. But does that $450 reflect the tariff price that they were the tariffs that they were expecting, or is Nintendo completely caught off guard and didn't expect a 45% tariff? You know what I mean? Like, is the Switch 2 going to be like $600, $700? And when is that too much? Like, you have to think, right? The Switch was a huge success because it was only $300. It was portable, it was hybrid, it had a cool like millennial marketing, right? Like the marketing right in the beginning. Like when you watch the Wii U and its marketing, it was like little kids. Like, it was all about kids and
it was a family affair. It was really for everybody.
And then you watch the Switch reveal, and it was all like 20-something-year-old millennials playing with their friends outside at a party with a fire pit outside, and like it was cool kids were playing this, and it was a family device as well. The point is, Nintendo is more of the family-driven console more than PS5 and Xbox, right? Are parents going to buy their kids a $600 console for Christmas? Are they going to spend $80 on games? Like, I think the Switch 2 was already not going to sell as well as the Switch, because I think the Switch did benefit from COVID. Because remember, when COVID was peak, Animal Crossing was just...
Animal Crossing, yes. Absolutely. That's what was my first thought.
Yeah. So, I don't think the Switch was going to sell as well as the Switch anyway, because the Switch is like their highest selling device ever. But, when does it become too high? Like, I know Nintendo fans are going to buy things no matter what. They don't care. but when is it enough too much for like actual like the average consumer? You know what I mean? When they go walk into GameStop or Target or Walmart, what is the
I'll
highest you can go?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you from my perspective, this is way too much. I don't know if anybody remembers this guy, but the Nintendo Switch 2 is too damn high. Shout out to that guy. Even though he's a bit of a loon. It's just it's too much fucking money. At $450 with $80. Excuse me, I just said drank some root beer. With $80 to $90 for games, not including add-ons, not including a manual that you've got to pay, that you don't have to pay for, but you could pay for. The Nintendo Switch Online membership. I mean,
the controller, the camera, the bag, the micro SD. Yeah.
I mean, forget nickel and diming. This is like quarter and dollaring. Like, this is fucking dragging people through the street saying, we know you're going to buy our shit no matter what. And you're going to.
Yeah.
And it sucks. I mean, I am not part of the problem. I will not be buying almost any of these things except for Metroid Prime. I think that is literally the one thing I will buy because it is a Switch exclusive and because I love Metroid Prime. I grew up with Corruption, and I liked the remake of 1. So I haven't played 2. But besides that, I have played the trilogy, the original trilogy. So I'm a big fan of it, and I'm really excited to play Beyond. But other than that, I mean, it's tough. I mean, like the tariffs thing. Look, there's so much you could say about what's happening in the U.S. right now, but we try to keep it not super political. But I mean, it's impossible to ignore here, right? The tariffs are really fucking people over. They're not. Tariffs almost always fuck people over, historically speaking, just like as a matter of historical record, right? Tariffs are usually not a good thing, right?
Caused the Great Depression.
Right. Even Canada has said that they don't want anything to do with America right now. And I believe 3 different Asian countries that have centuries-long beef are like, yeah, fuck America. Like,
especially China.
We're not doing... Yeah, right. We're not doing great. We're not doing great. So, this is bad. I know, hot take. And it's going to affect a lot of things. It's not just going to affect gaming, right? I was reading a post from Seb and on Blue Sky, and it's like, you know, I know people are upset about this, but it's a symptom of everything else, and you can care about multiple things, right? We care about this stuff, but obviously there's other stuff in the world besides fucking video games. We just talk about this for fun. There's other things going on that the tariffs are going to affect. It's going to suck for a lot of basic needs. We already see the whole discourse about eggs and stuff. It's gonna get worse before it gets better, unfortunately. And I hope it doesn't get super bad. I hope that, I mean, obviously video games are the least of concern at a certain point, but keeping it to video games, I mean, I'm hoping that this doesn't mean the PS6 is gonna be like $800 and the Xbox 820 is gonna be $1,000. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I totally agree. I think like I already felt like the PS5 Pro was way too much money, right? Like $700, and it didn't sell, and it didn't sell well.
Oh, okay, good to know.
Yeah, so like, are people not going to spend $1,000 on a PS6? They're not. That's just too much money for people.
Yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't affect me as much in terms of like, because I'm on PC and I buy Steam, and Steam digital games are not affected by tariffs. But you know, I'm like, I jumped on PC at the right time. Basically, what I'm saying. But like, it's frustrating. But you're right. I said this on Blue Sky. Video games are not important, obviously, in comparison to like paying your water bill, your phone bill, your mortgage, your rent, your car payment, all that stuff, right? That's just being an adult, taking care of your kids, taking care of your family. But it's okay to be upset with the Nintendo prices. Just because you're upset with the Nintendo prices doesn't mean you don't care about people's necessities. Like, people can think about different things at the same time. I always hate that whataboutism stuff. Like,
yes, it's very annoying. Like,
because I can worry about like kids in Africa at the same time as people in Pakistan, and you know what I mean. Like, it's not. Why do I have to be so black and white? If anything, video games are supposed to be about escapism, or at least a place for people to get their like emotions out, or people to be able to just like have something to do when they get home from working 3 jobs to get by, right? And like, I don't mean escapism as in like, the political stuff. You get what I'm saying? Like just to like
Yeah.
get a place to.
No, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of escapism, right? I mean, like, I feel like people undervalue the role of entertainment in any kind of political movement. You have to have art. Like, all forms of art are escapism to some level, right? Whether it's paintings, drawings, writings, plays. Like, like people were writing political plays when Russia was incredibly oppressive, and those were a form of escapism, but they were also a form of political protest. Like, you can do both, and you can also do each individual thing. You can go home and just watch a fucking sitcom and laugh, and then the next day you can go on your phone and like, link up with some people who are local to you and say like, hey, I'm not happy with how stuff is going right now. Like, what can we do about that? And chances are other people are already doing that. So it's like you can do both. And like, if you don't do both, like I've seen so many activists say that you have to do both because you get burnout. You get tired of the world. You don't want to make it a better place anymore. I'm trying to be as neutral and vague as possible, but you don't want to make it a better place anymore. You just want to sit on your couch and watch the TV and play video games and just like do nothing. And that's like one of the ways I feel like I'm able to make the world a better place is by working with kids and like teaching them about kindness and empathy. And obviously I'm trans, so working with kids is inherently kind of educational in that sense. But like, yeah, it's everybody has their own path to trying to make the world a better place. Not everybody's going to be running for office or organizing a huge movement or something like that. Sometimes just simple day-to-day stuff. But anyway, getting off my my soapbox here. But yeah, it's entertainment's important. It's important for us to keep our mental stability, even if that means we do a little bit of escapism as a treat.
Right. And so the point is, $450. I think personally $450 is fine because I expect this to be $400. So $450, not a huge deal. I don't think the price of the console is an issue. I think the problem is the game being $80 is an issue because the console you buy one time and then you have it for 7 years, right? So whatever, right? $450 is not a huge deal to me. It's a little pricey, I think, especially since like a PS5 digital version is cheaper than Switch 2 now, and it's also $50 less than a regular PS5. So that's feels expensive. And then you also get a Steam Deck around this not too far away price. So $450 is fine. But $80 games, come on, Nintendo. I know there's inflation. $80 is too much money for a game. I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal if you can just wait for a sale. If my biggest concern is
that's the thing.
Is the precedent.
That's the fucking thing with Nintendo. They don't do sales, and if they do sales, it's very mild.
It's like $10.
You're lucky if you get 20% off. You're lucky if you get anything above 20% off.
Right.
I mean, fucking. For all my criticisms, I'm not going to deny it's an amazing game for many, many people. Breath of the Wild is still $60. The Switch came out almost 10 years ago. That is a nearly 10-year game that they think is still somehow worth 60, and people still buy it. And it's like, I just, or get it as gifts, or split it, or however you make do with the Switch tax.
Yeah, it's like,
and it's garbage. I mean, that game's 10 years old. I'm not saying it's a bad game just because it's old or whatever, but like, it's just wild. Like, the cost to depreciate. I literally went to GameFly and did a trial so I wouldn't have to spend $60 on Mario and the Thousand Year Door because I wasn't that confident I was going to enjoy it. And like, I ended up being right. But like, I'm glad I did that because if I had paid $60, the regret would have been deep. So I'm really glad I swear to God, we're not sponsored or anything, but I'm glad that I did GameFly for that specific reason because the Switch tax is just wild.
Especially when you play on PC. Ever since I switched to PC, I realized how much money I would have saved if I switched to PC a long time ago. I mean, the fact that I can get every brand new game for like $10 off right off the bat with like buying a CD key, like a Steam key. And like if I wait like 5 months, the games drop in price by like $30, $40. Like I hate this Switch tax. I hate the whole idea of it. I don't think people vote with their wallet. Like people buy it no matter what. Now, obviously, I buy Nintendo games too, but I was a little different for me because my dad buys the games typically, and we share the games. I'll go over and ask for the borrow the game, and I'll play it that way. Like I don't have to go buy out myself and buy them, but and then like we share like we do the game sharing or like digitally and stuff. So like it helps to mitigate the payments I have to pay. But I absolutely can't stand that people just buy things no matter what, and it's ridiculous. Especially Pokemon, for example. People complain. You went by the internet, you would think like Pokemon's a disaster and no one's buying it, and then it sells 10 million copies in 3 days. So people need to start voting with their wallet, and that's really what it comes down to. And people are not doing that. So, but $80 is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Now we'll see what I pray that it's not more money than that. If it's $500 or something dollars, I'll probably still bite the bullet because I'm only buy it one time and then I'll have it for 7 years or whatever. But it's gonna hurt. Now if it's like $700 to buy a Switch 2, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not buying that for $700. That's just too much. Like for $700, I would buy a PS5 Pro if I wanted. Like, but I'm good on my gaming. I have a 4080 PC. I have a laptop. I have a Steam Deck. What else? What the hell do I need to buy anything else for? So, no, this is too much. So I pray that it's not going up in price, but it might. But like Nintendo, imagine selling a game console for $600, $700. People are not going to buy that. I don't think in this economy right now.
In this economy, yeah,
especially this economy, like,
yep.
No.
And like, there's another thing I want to talk about too, is that the Switch 2, and this is in our notes, it doesn't even have the battery life of a Switch 1, which is wild to me. You would think that they would have compensated for the higher processing power and the more gigs and stuff like that. But no.
It has a bigger battery too, and still no.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is normal, I guess, for a handheld because Rogue Ally and the Steam Deck don't have the best batteries either because more power requires, the more power you have, the faster the battery is going to drain. So it's I guess that's not a huge deal to me, but definitely, yeah, it's a controversy that I keep seeing.
I will say, as far as this, I agree with Seb that the bigger issue here is the price point of the games than the price point of the console. Because honestly, if you really look at it, a lot of these specs are, I'm not going to say they're the same, but they're on, at this point, the Switch 2 is similar enough to other handheld consoles in the market, and they're underselling it. I mean, I looked at like a price for the Steam Deck. It was like $550 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, they are underselling the Switch 2 relative to other competing ones.
I would say it's $50 more expensive than it should be. I think it should be $400.
Yes, I do agree with that.
Yeah, but it's a big controversy, and Nintendo's getting a lot of backlash. Like it's not a great way to launch their system because they're getting like drop the price. People are spamming drop the price in the chat. Like if you watch the Treehouse live stream, the chat was nothing but drop the price, drop the price, drop the price. Nintendo's seeing that. Nintendo's probably shitting bricks right now because Nintendo, obviously, they have so much money, but they've had some failures. It's not like Nintendo's immune from failing. And Wii U was a disaster for them. The 3DS was a problem for them. They had to change. They had to adjust.
There was a photo of the GameCube at a Walmart or something way back in the mid 2000s or something. That was like $50 or $30.
Yeah,
I mean, like Nintendo's had slip ups.
Nintendo 64 didn't sell that well compared to PS1. It got destroyed by Sony. Because they do want cartridges and not CDs, and GameCube didn't sell that well either. PS2 was just a juggernaut. It's like Nintendo has like a monumental generation, like the Switch and like the Wii. Remember the Wii was huge, like it was everywhere, right? And then Wii U was a disaster, and then the Switch is awesome. Now is the Switch 2 going to be a disaster? It's like a pattern. I don't know if it's gonna.
It is. It's kind of like every other console with them. It's crazy.
Yeah. So is this their arrogant Sony like PS3 moment? Like is this like they're nickel and diming everybody? Is this?
It really feels like it. It really feels like it for better or worse. It
feels
mostly
like
for worse.
It feels like their Xbox One moment more than anything. It feels like Xbox One to me, where like all they're focused on is hardware and look at all our accessories and look at our Connect and look what you can do. And yeah,
I know. I was just thinking, like, they even have the Connect shit.
yeah. But just to start wrapping it up now, the controversies, we talked about the price. We talked about not all cartridges have the games. They can be empty shells, then you need to download them. That was the controversy. We talked about that already with the physical media. We talked about people were complaining about lack of Mario and Zelda at launch. There's no Mario game besides Mario Kart, and there's
Right.
no Zelda game.
Yeah, although I will say
Not a big
that
deal to me.
it's not a big deal to me either, but the Donkey Kong game, I mean, let's be real, y'all. That's basically Odyssey 2. I even feel like I heard that it's made by the same people or same studio. I could be wrong though. But it really feels like the next Mario game is just Donkey Kong instead, which I mean is I'm not even saying this ironically or whatever, but is really a bold strategy. I really do genuinely hope it pays off because I've wanted a new 3D Donkey Kong game for a while.
Since the
So
64?
that it looks really good. What's that?
Since the Nintendo 64, have we got right? We haven't had a 3D Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it took me a second to realize what you were saying. Yeah, I loved Donkey Kong 64, and we haven't gotten any. I really did, by the way, for a split second, because I saw an inanimate object with googly eyes. I was like, holy fucking shit, are they doing Banjo-Kazooie? I got really excited, and then I saw Donkey Kong's dumb face, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm still happy. But yeah, I definitely got rare vibes very early. I know it's not rare anymore, but yeah.
That would have been awesome. You had the banjo sound.
I know. Oh, Banjo 3, please.
Yeah.
I know it'll never happen, but yeah, anyway.
All right, and then the last controversy, we talked about the battery life, right? The last controversy was people getting upset that they're charging for upgrades from the, we already talked about that as well. PS5 has been doing that for a while now. I think Xbox does that for free, but PS5 was charging us for $10 to upgrade the games. Well, hopefully it's like $10. $10 is not I don't like the principle of it, but it's not a big deal, I don't think. So a lot of the controversies to me are not big deals. Like, I don't think they're that big of an issue because I buy all my games digitally anyway, so the cartridge thing doesn't matter to me. Lack of Mario Zelda doesn't really matter to me because we're getting Metroid and Kirby and Donkey Kong. There's plenty of games to play. There's a new Mario game every freaking year. Come on, guys, you can wait a year for another Mario game. Zelda, there's always gonna be a Zelda game. It's not going anywhere. We just got a Zelda game last year. It's not like I know people mean like a new 3D one, but not a big deal. The battery life is just part of modern handhelds. They're bigger and they're stronger and they require more power and they're going to drain faster. Try playing Rogue Ally. The thing drains in an hour. So,
right.
Yeah, Steam Deck lasts like an hour and a half, 2 hours, but I always play mine plugged in. And then the charging upgrade is just normal stuff. So the big controversy to me is the $80 games. That's the big problem. I think the $80 games ruin or sour, or not, I won't say ruin, they sour my hype for the Switch 2 more than anything else. Because I don't want to suck it up. It's, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But I might have no choice. So it's either I don't buy it and play it and like speak up on my wallet, or just suck it up. And that's really what it comes down to. And I hope most people don't bite the bullet and show Nintendo that's not acceptable. But last topic before we move on. What concerns me is the precedent. Nintendo's the first one to do this. They pulled the trigger. So now is GTA 5, GTA 6 going to be $100?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I can't believe Nintendo beat GTA 6 to $80. I would never have seen that coming. Yeah. We were talking about it like last month. We were like, well, is GTA 6 going to be priced like this, or is it going to be priced like this?
Yeah.
And Nintendo's like, hold my beer, or hold my family appropriate beverage. And yeah, they fucking did it. I would never have seen that coming.
In the PlayStation, are they going to follow suit? Is everybody going to follow suit? The only difference is if PlayStation pulls this shit and all these developers pull this shit, only certain developers can get away with this. Nintendo can get away with it. Rockstar can get away with it. From Software can get away with it, right? But if you're some indie studio and your game is supposed to be like $40 and you charge $70 for it, you're going to fail. I'm sorry. It's not going to work. So I hope people read the room well. We talked about this before, right? When people don't understand that they don't read the room and they overprice their game completely and it backfires. If you don't have the pedigree, you're not going to succeed. So I hope the industry doesn't follow suit. I hope Nintendo's just being batshit crazy out being Looney Tunes. Nintendo doing what they want. But the good thing is I don't have to buy if on PC and PlayStation. I don't have to buy games at launch. I can wait and get them all in cheaper. So $80 is not a big deal if it's on PC because PC gamers will rebel and not buy that shit, and it will be on sale and it'll be discounted in the future. So, but you can't do that with Switch. They don't drop in price. So that's the scary thing is you can't. You're stuck because you know they're not going to drop in price, and then when they do drop in price, like in Black Friday, it's like 10% off, 15% off, and 10% off of $80 is $72. So, and it's a sales tax from where I live, so that's another $3. So I save $5. Thanks. So frustrating. So, all right, that's our show. I don't want. I hate to end on a sour note, but yeah, it is what it soured the whole thing for me. But I'm still getting it, and depending on the price, we don't know what the price is yet. If the tariffs affected that, but the games look good. Looks like a good year for Nintendo, and then that's that. So I will. The plan is for me to buy it, but we'll see. All right, and Dory's not getting it, so that's where we're at. And we'll go from there. So next week, we'll talk about South of Midnight. I will be talking about the first Berserker Kazan. Hopefully, should have beat or got far enough into it to really give an impression on it. I'll talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's gonna be a very impression heavy week for me because I have a lot of games to talk about that because we skipped the last week, and we'll talk about South of Midnight. That's gonna be our main topic. That's gonna be the thumbnail, and that episode will be a lot shorter than this one. This one was just full of news. All right, so. All right, Dory, thanks for joining me. You have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
And take care, everybody. Peace.
Bye, everybody.